I stood in the dim glow of our kitchen, the clock ticking past midnight, my pulse hammering in my ears. The air felt thick, like it was holding its breath. Emily, my wife of 7 years, stood across from me, her arms crossed, her eyes darting anywhere but mine. Her phone sat on the counter between us, a silent trader glowing with notifications. I'd seen the message before she snatched it away, a name I didn't recognize, a tone too intimate for a girl's trip. Emily, who's Derek? My voice cracked, raw with the weight of suspicion I'd carried for weeks. I wanted her to laugh, to roll her eyes and call me paranoid. Instead, her lips tightened, and she turned to the sink, scrubbing a glass that was already clean. Nobody, she said, her voice clipped, like she was cutting a thread. A friend from the group. You're overthinking this, Nathan. Overthinking. I stepped closer, the linoleum cold under my bare feet. You blocked me, Em. On a trip with your girls, you blocked your husband. Why? My words hung there, sharp and heavy, begging for an answer she wouldn't give. She spun around, her hazel eyes flashing with something guilt, maybe, or defiance. I needed space, Nathan. You're always hovering, always checking. It's suffocating. Her words were a blade, slicing through the trust I'd clung to. Space? I'd given her everything, every late night, every compromise, every quiet moment when I swallowed my doubts to keep us steady. Then why's your phone blowing up with his name? I gestured at the device, its screen now dark but still a witness to her secrecy. You don't block someone you love unless you're hiding something. She laughed, a bitter sound that didn't reach her eyes. You're pathetic. You know that? Digging through my phone like some jealous teenager. Maybe I blocked you because I can't stand your neediness anymore. Her words were a practiced jab, each one landing harder than the last. I felt the room tilt, my chest tightening as the woman I'd built a life with tore it apart with a smirk. I wanted to scream, to demand the truth, but something in her gaze, cold, calculated, stopped me. Instead, I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. I'm done guessing, Em. I'll find out myself. My voice was low, steady, a promise I didn't fully understand yet. As I stepped into the night, I sent a text to her friend Sarah, who was on the trip. Just a few words. Tell Emily I know. 15 minutes later, my phone lit up with 30 missed calls, all from her. The screen glowed like a warning, but I didn't answer. Not yet. My life, before that night, was simple, predictable. I'm Nathan Carter, 34, a high school history teacher in suburban Columbus, Ohio. My days were a rhythm of lesson plans, coffee runs, and grading papers under the hum of fluorescent lights. Emily and I lived in a modest 2-bedroom house, the kind with creaky floors and a backyard we swore we'd fix up someday. I coached the school's chess club, mowed the lawn on Saturdays, and cooked dinner most nights, pasta, usually, because it was her favorite. I thought we were happy, or at least content. I trusted her trips with her college friends, her late nights at the law firm. I trusted her. But that night, standing in our kitchen, I saw the fracture in our life, a crack I couldn't unsee. My goal was clear. I needed the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I needed to know who Emily had become and what she was hiding. This was only the beginning. Something bigger was coming, something that would flip everything I thought I knew upside down. I could feel it, like a storm gathering on the edge of a clear day. The night air bit at my knuckles as I sat in my car, parked in the empty lot of a 24-hour diner just off Route 33. My phone vibrated relentlessly on the passenger seat, Emily's name flashing like a pulse I didn't want to feel. 30 missed calls had turned to 40, then texts frantic, then angry, then pleading. Nathan, call me back. You don't understand. I didn't read the rest. My thumb hovered over Sarah's number instead. She'd seen my message. She knew I was onto something. I needed answers, not Emily's rehearsed excuses. I replayed our fight in my head, each word a splinter. Her smirk, the way she'd called me pathetic, it wasn't just deflection. It was power, like she was daring me to unravel her secret. I wasn't a detective, just a guy who graded essays on the Civil War and played chess with nerdy sophomores. But that night, I felt like I was in a game, and Emily had just made her opening move. I had to counter, or I'd lose everything, our home, our history, the life I thought we built. Sarah answered on the second ring. Nathan, what the hell? Her voice was sharp, like I'd woken her from a dream. Sarah was Emily's college roommate, the blunt one who always smelled faintly of lavender and never sugar-coated anything. What's this? I know nonsense. You're freaking her out. Good, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. She blocked me, Sarah, on her girls' trip. Then I saw a text from some guy named Derek. Who is he? The silence on her end stretched too long, heavy with what she wasn't saying. I leaned forward, gripping the steering wheel. Don't cover for her. I deserve the truth. Sarah sighed, the kind of sigh that carries a secret. Look, Nathan, it's not what you think. Derek's just someone from her firm. They're working on a big case. She didn't want you worrying over nothing. Her words sounded rehearsed, like she was reading from Emily's script. I pictured her on the other end, maybe in some beachside Airbnb, glancing at Emily for approval. Then why block me? I pressed. Why is she blowing up my phone now? My voice froze, betraying the calm I was trying to hold on to. The diner's neon sign flickered outside, casting red shadows across my dashboard. It felt like the world was warning me to stop digging, but I couldn't. She stressed. Okay? Sarah said. This case is huge, and she's been distant. Just talk to her. Nathan, don't do anything stupid. She hung up before I could push harder. I stared at my phone, the screen now dark, my reflection a ghost in the glass. Stressed? Emily thrived under pressure, courtroom arguments, late-night depositions. She didn't crumble. She calculated. I drove home, the streets of Columbus blurring past. Our house was dark when I pulled in, the porch light we always left on now off. Inside, her absence was loud, her coat gone, her favorite mug still in the sink. I sat on the couch, the silence pressing in. I wanted to believe Sarah, to chalk it up to work stress, but the pieces didn't fit. Emily's blocked calls, Derek's name, her cruelty in the kitchen. It was a puzzle, and I was missing the key. I opened my laptop, my fingers trembling as I typed Derek's name into a search, pairing it with her law firm. Nothing concrete, just a LinkedIn profile. Derek Harper, senior associate, all polished smiles and vague credentials. But his face lingered, a stranger who felt like a threat. I wasn't giving up. Emily was hiding something, and I'd find it, even if it broke me. The truth was out there, and I was closer than I'd ever been. The couch creaked under me as I sat there, laptop balanced on my knees, Derek Harper's LinkedIn photo staring back like a challenge. His bio was a sterile list of law degrees and case wins, but it was the photo, cocky grin, tailored suit, that made my stomach twist. I imagined him with Emily, laughing over wine at some conference, her hand brushing his arm the way it used to brush mine. I slammed the laptop shut, my breath ragged. The house was too quiet, the kind of quiet that screams secrets. I stood, pacing the living room, my bare feet scuffing the rug we'd picked out at a flea market 3 years ago. That was us then, bargain hunting, joking about our forever home. Now, every corner of this place felt like a lie. My goal hadn't changed. I needed the truth about Emily, about Derek, about what she was hiding. But the how of it was murky, like trying to solve a chess puzzle with half the pieces missing. I grabbed my phone, still littered with Emily's unanswered calls, 52 now, and a string of texts I hadn't opened. The latest one caught my eye. Nathan, please. I'm coming home. We need to talk. Coming home? She was supposed to be in Miami until Sunday. My pulse quickened. Was this her folding or another move in her game? I typed a reply, then deleted it. No, I wouldn't play on her terms. Instead, I called my brother, Lucas, who lived an hour away in Dayton. Lucas was the opposite of me, loud, impulsive, the guy who'd once punched a hole in a bar wall over a bad poker hand. If anyone could help me think through this chaos, it was him. Nate, what's up? It's 1 a.m., he groaned when he picked up. Emily's cheating, I blurted, the words tasting like acid. Or something. I don't know. She blocked me, and there's this guy, Derek. She's freaking out because I called her bluff. My voice shook, but saying it out loud made it real, made it something I could fight. Lucas whistled low. Damn, man. You sure? Emily's always been. Emily. Controlled. You got proof? His doubt stung, but it was fair. I didn't have proof, just a gut-screaming betrayal and a phone full of missed calls. Not yet, I admitted. But I'm not crazy. She's hiding something big. I told him about the fight, Sarah's cagey answers, the name Derek. Lucas listened, then said, get into her email. People like her. They slip up somewhere. Passwords, receipts, something. Her email. Why hadn't I thought of that? Emily used the same laptop for work and personal stuff, and she wasn't exactly a tech genius. I hung up, my heart pounding as I grabbed her old MacBook from the study. She'd left it behind, probably thinking I wouldn't dare. The login screen glowed, and I tried her usual password, our anniversary, 0718. It failed. I tried her birthday, then a variation with her maiden name. Nothing. My fingers hovered, then typed Derek0718. The screen unlocked. I froze, my breath catching. The coincidence felt like a slap, but I pushed it aside and opened her email. Hundreds of messages loaded, most from her firm, but one thread stood out, buried in a folder labeled Miscellaneous. Subject: Tonight. From Derek Harper. My hands shook as I clicked, knowing whatever I found would change everything. The truth was close, and it terrified me. The glow of Emily's laptop burned my eyes as I stared at the email from Derek. Tonight. The word pulsed like a heartbeat, daring me to click. My finger hovered over the trackpad, every nerve screaming to turn back, to pretend I hadn't cracked her password, Derek0718, a code that felt like a betrayal carved into digits. But I'd come too far. The truth was a splinter under my skin, and I had to dig it out, no matter how much it bled. I clicked. The email was short, too short, like they'd already said everything that mattered in person. Meet me at the usual spot. 9 p.m. Don't overthink it, M. No sign off. Just his name. Derek, sitting there like a taunt. My stomach churned. The usual spot? How many times had they met, planned, laughed behind my back? I scrolled up, desperate for context. But the thread was a dead end. One message, no replies. I checked the date. 2 weeks ago, when Emily had claimed she was working late on a deposition. I'd cooked for her that night, left a plate of spaghetti in the fridge. She'd come home at midnight, smelling of perfume I didn't recognize. I leaned back in the desk chair, the study's walls closing in. Our wedding photo hung above me, Emily's smile frozen in a moment I thought was ours. Now it felt like a prop in her performance. My goal, to know who she really was, felt closer, but the ground under me was crumbling. Was she in love with him? Was it just a fling? Or was it something colder, calculated, like the way she'd slice me open in our kitchen? I dug deeper, searching her inbox for Derek's name. A few hits, case updates, group emails from the firm, but nothing else personal. Then I checked her trash folder. There it was, a deleted email from Derek, sent 3 days ago. Subject: You sure? The body read, This is bigger than us, M. If you're in, we need to move fast. My breath hitched. Bigger than us. It didn't sound like an affair anymore. It sounded like a plan, a scheme. My mind raced. Embezzlement, blackmail, something tied to her firm? Emily was ambitious, but this felt like a line even she wouldn't cross. Or would she? I heard a car door slam outside. My heart lurched. I snapped the laptop shut and moved to the window, peering through the blinds. Emily's silver Audi was in the driveway, her silhouette climbing out, phone pressed to her ear. She was back early, too early. I ducked back, my pulse hammering. Had Sarah warned her? Was she here to confront me, to spin another lie? I hid the laptop under a stack of papers, my hands shaking like I was some amateur thief in my own home. The front door creaked open, and her heels clicked on the hardwood. Nathan. Her voice was tight, not angry but nervous, like she was testing the air. I stayed silent, my mind a chessboard where every move felt like a trap. I wanted to storm out, demand answers about Derek's usual spot and bigger than us, but something held me back. She wasn't just hiding a lover. She was hiding a secret that could ruin us both. I stepped into the hallway, my shadow falling across her path. She froze, her eyes wide, and for the first time, I saw fear in her face. The game had shifted, and I was no longer just the pawn. Emily's eyes locked onto mine, wide and flickering with something raw. Fear, maybe, or guilt caught in the open. The hallway light cast sharp shadows across her face. Her lipstick smudged like she'd been rubbing her mouth nervously. I stood there, hands clenched, the weight of Derek's emails burning in my mind. You sure? This is bigger than us. Her sudden return from Miami wasn't a peace offering. It was damage control, and I was done being her collateral. Nathan, why didn't you answer my calls? Her voice trembled, but there was an edge to it, like she was trying to seize control. She stepped closer, her purse slung over her shoulder, still in the sundress she'd packed for her girls' trip. I could smell that unfamiliar perfume again, sharp and floral, a stranger's scent in our home. You blocked me first, M. I said, my voice low, steady, though my heart was a drumbeat in my chest. Care to explain that? Or should I ask Derek? Her flinch was subtle, a twitch at the corner of her mouth, but I caught it. Checkmate for now. She set her purse down, slow, deliberate, like she was buying time. You're blowing this out of proportion. Derek's a colleague. I told you it's work. Her words were smooth, rehearsed, but her hands betrayed her, twisting the hem of her dress. I'd seen her argue cases in court, cool as ice. This wasn't that Emily. This was someone cornered. Work, I repeated, stepping closer, my shadow swallowing hers. Work that makes you block your husband? Work that has you meeting him at the usual spot? Or work that's bigger than us? Her face drained of color, and for a moment, I thought she might bolt. I'd read those emails, seen the cracks in her story, and now I was calling her bluff. My goal, to uncover the truth, wasn't just about infidelity anymore. It was about what she was planning, and why she was so desperate to keep me in the dark. Nathan, you went through my emails? Her voice spiked, a mix of outrage and panic. She backed up, bumping the console table, making the keys jangle. That's low, even for you. Low. I laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in the empty house. You don't get to play victim, Em. Not when you're sneaking around with some guy who's got you spooked enough to race home from Miami. What's bigger than us? Tell me. I was pushing too hard. I knew it. But the hurt in me, the guy who'd trusted her, loved her, didn't care. I needed her to break, to give me something real. She crossed her arms, her jaw tight. You're paranoid. I came back to fix this, to talk, but you're making it impossible. Her voice softened, a calculated shift, like she was slipping back into lawyer mode. Let's sit down, okay? I'll explain everything. I didn't move. Her offer felt like a trap, a way to spin the narrative back in her favor. I thought of our life, our quiet dinners, our lazy Sundays, the way she'd hum while folding laundry. Was it all a lie? Or was I the fool, seeing betrayal where there was only ambition? I wanted to believe her, to go back to the Nathan who trusted her implicitly. But the emails, her blocked calls, her fear, they were pieces of a puzzle, and I was too close to the truth to stop now. Explain it now, I said, my voice ablade. Or I keep digging. Her eyes darted to the study, where I'd left her laptop. She knew I wasn't bluffing, and the board was mine. Emily's gaze flickered to the study door, then back to me, her eyes narrowing like she was calculating her next move. The hallway felt smaller, the air between us charged with unspoken accusations. I stood my ground, my demand for the truth hanging like a guillotine. Explain it now, or I keep digging. My words echoed in my head, bold but brittle, because part of me dreaded what I'd find. The Nathan who loved her, who built a life with her, was still in there, clawing to believe this was all a misunderstanding. But the emails, her blocked calls, her nervous twitch, they were a checkmate I couldn't ignore. She exhaled, her shoulders slumping like she'd decided to fold. Fine, Nathan, she said, her voice softer now, almost pleading. Let's sit. I'll tell you what's going on. She gestured to the living room, where our old couch waited, the one we'd binged countless shows on, back when trust was a given. I didn't move right away. Her sudden shift to cooperation felt like a feint, a lawyer's trick to buy time. But I needed answers, so I followed, my steps heavy, like I was walking to my own trial. We sat, the couch creaking under us, a foot of space between us that felt like a canyon. Emily tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, a nervous habit I used to find endearing. Now it just made me wary. Derek's not what you think, she started. Her voice steadied, but her fingers twisting that dress hem again. He's a colleague. Yes, but we're working on something sensitive. A case at the firm. It's high stakes, Nathan, and I didn't want you dragged into it. High stakes how? I leaned forward, my voice sharp. What's bigger than us? And why block me? Why the secrecy? I was pushing, maybe too hard, but her vague answers were kindling to my anger. I pictured Derek's smug LinkedIn grin, his cryptic tonight email, and my chest tightened. This wasn't just a case. It was personal. Emily's eyes flicked away, landing on the coffee table where a half-dead plant sat, a relic of her brief gardening phase. It's a client, she said finally. A big one. They're powerful, and there's a lot of money involved. Derek and I are handling it off the books because there's a conflict of interest at the firm. If it leaks, it could ruin us. Her words were careful, like she was navigating a minefield. I blocked you because I was paranoid about anyone seeing my phone. Even you. I stared at her, trying to read the cracks in her story. A client? Off the books? It sounded plausible. She'd always been ambitious, chasing the next big win at her firm. But the pieces didn't snap together. Why the panic when I mentioned Derek? Why race home from Miami? Who's the client? I asked, my voice low, testing her. And what's the usual spot you and Derek meet at? Her lips parted, then closed, like she'd been caught mid-move. It's just a bar near the office, she said too quickly. The Rusty Anchor. We grabbed drinks to decompress. The Rusty Anchor was real, a dive we'd been to once, but her answer felt like a dodge, too tidy. I leaned back, my mind racing. I could check her story, call the bar, dig into her firm's cases, but her eyes held mine now, pleading, and for a second, I wanted to believe her. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Lucas. Asterisk found something on Derek. Call me. Asterisk my heart lurched. Emily didn't know it, but the board was tilting back in my favor. My phone buzzed again, Lucas's text glowing like a fuse in the dim living room. Asterisk found something on Derek. Call me. Asterisk I kept my face neutral, but my pulse was a hammer, pounding out questions I couldn't ask yet, not with Emily watching me, her eyes searching for any crack in my resolve. She sat across from me, her explanation about the high-stakes client and the Rusty Anchor still hanging in the air, flimsy as a house of cards. I wanted to believe her, to cling to the version of us where she was still my Emily, humming over laundry, laughing at my bad puns. But the truth was a shadow moving closer, and Lucas's message was a spotlight I couldn't ignore. I need more than that, Em, I said, my voice steady despite the storm in my chest. A client? Off-the-books deals? You expect me to buy that when you're sneaking around with Derek, blocking my number? I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, locking eyes with her. Tell me who the client is. Give me a name. Her jaw tightened, and for a split second, I saw something flicker in her expression, not guilt, but calculation, like she was weighing how much to reveal. Nathan, you're making this harder than it needs to be, she said, her voice soft, almost coaxing. The client's confidential. You know how my work is. I can't just spill everything because you're upset. She reached out, her hand grazing my knee, a gesture that once would have melted me. Now it felt like a chess move, a distraction. I pulled back, standing up, the couch creaking in protest. Don't, I said, sharper than I meant. Don't play the caring wife now. You raced home from Miami because I mentioned Derek. You're scared, Em. Why? My phone buzzed again, Lucas, impatient, but I kept my eyes on her, waiting for the crack, the slip that would confirm what my gut already knew. She was lying, and it was bigger than an affair. Emily stood too, her sundress catching the light, making her look fragile, almost breakable. But I knew better. She was a lawyer, a master at spinning stories, and I was just a history teacher, better at grading essays than spotting lies. I came back because I love you, she said, her voice catching, a perfect note of emotion. I saw your text to Sarah, and I panicked. I didn't want you thinking this. She gestured vaguely, like this was our crumbling trust, our home-turned battlefield. Then prove it, I said, stepping closer, my voice low. Show me your phone. Right now. Her eyes widened, and I knew I'd hit a nerve. Her phone was her fortress, her alibi, her secret keeper. If she handed it over, maybe, just maybe, I'd believe her. If she didn't, it was another piece of the puzzle locking into place. She hesitated, her hand twitching toward her purse, then stopping. Nathan, this is ridiculous. You're acting like I'm some criminal. Her voice rose, indignant, but her eyes darted to the door, like she was mapping an escape. My phone buzzed again, insistent, and I knew Lucas had something big. I could feel the truth closing in, sharp and cold, but Emily's next move would decide how much it hurt. I held her gaze, the silence a challenge, and waited for her to play her hand. The silence stretched taut between us, a wire ready to snap. Emily's hand hovered near her purse, my demand for her phone hanging like a guillotine. Her eyes, usually so sharp in a courtroom, flickered with something unsteady, fear, or maybe the strain of holding her story together. My phone buzzed again, Lucas's text a persistent drumbeat in my pocket, but I kept my focus on her. This was the moment. If she gave me the phone, I might find a thread to pull us back together. If she didn't, it was proof her secrets were bigger than our marriage. Nathan, you're being insane, she said, her voice sharp but brittle, like glass about to crack. She stepped back, clutching her purse to her chest like a shield. You want to play detective? Fine, but you're not going to find what you think. Her words were a dare, but her body language screamed retreat, shoulders hunched, eyes darting to the hallway. I'd seen her bluff clients, charm judges, but this was different. This was personal, and she was losing her edge. Then show me, I pressed, my voice low, steady, though my heart was a runaway train. If it's just work, if Derek's just a colleague, let me see the phone. Clear it up, Em. I took a step closer, the floor creaking under me. Our living room suddenly a chessboard where every move mattered. My goal hadn't wavered. I needed the truth, no matter how much it stung. But now, standing inches from her, I felt the weight of what that truth might cost. Our home, our past, the life I thought was ours. She laughed, a short, hollow sound that didn't match her eyes. You don't trust me, she said, almost to herself. After 7 years, you think I'd throw it all away for what? Some fling. She shook her head, but her hand stayed locked on her purse, knuckles white. You're humiliating yourself, Nathan. Humiliating. I snapped, the word igniting something raw in me. You blocked me, Em. You ran home from Miami because I mentioned Derek. You're the one acting like you've got something to hide. My voice froze, and I hated how it shook, how it betrayed the hurt I'd been swallowing since that night in the kitchen. I thought of the emails, tonight, you sure, and Lucas's text, waiting like a loaded gun. Give me the phone, or I'm done asking nicely. Her face hardened, and for a moment, I saw the Emily who'd argued her way to partner at her firm, cold, calculated, untouchable. You're done, she said, her voice a blade. You want to tear us apart over nothing? Go ahead, but I'm not giving you my phone. She turned, heading for the stairs, her heels clicking like a countdown. I could have grabbed her, forced the issue, but my phone buzzed again, and I let her go. She'd made her move, and it was the wrong one. I pulled out my phone, Lucas's text glowing. Derek's not just a lawyer. Check your email. Sent you a file. My stomach dropped. I glanced at the stairs, where Emily's shadow disappeared, then opened my email. Lucas's message was there, with an attachment labeled Harper_dig. I clicked it, my hands trembling, knowing whatever was inside would shift the board forever. The truth was coming, and it was going to hurt. Emily's footsteps faded up the stairs, each click a nail in the coffin of the trust we'd built. I stood frozen in the living room, my phone clutched like a lifeline, Lucas's email open on the screen. The attachment, Harper_dig, stared back at me, a digital Pandora's box. My thumb hesitated, fear and fury wrestling in my chest. I'd wanted the truth, chased it like a dog after a car, but now, with it one click away, I wasn't sure I could handle the crash. Still, I'd come too far to turn back. My goal, to know who Emily really was, felt like a blade I was holding by the edge. I tapped the file. It was a PDF, a jumble of screenshots and notes in Lucas's chaotic style, links to articles, social media posts, even a grainy photo of Derek Harper at some swanky gala, his arm around a woman who wasn't Emily. Lucas's cover email was blunt. Derek sturdy. Not just a lawyer. Look at the financials. I scrolled, my heart pounding. A bank statement screenshot showed transfers, big ones tied to an account labeled DH Consulting. Derek's initials. The amounts were staggering, 5 figures moving to an offshore account. Another screenshot, from a private forum, mentioned Derek and discreet services for high-profile clients. Not legal services. Something shady. My breath caught. This wasn't an affair. It was a hustle, and Emily was in deep. Her story about a high-stakes client suddenly felt like a half-truth, a veneer over something uglier. Was she laundering money? Covering for Derek? Or worse, was she the one pulling strings? I thought of her panic when I mentioned Derek, her refusal to show her phone. She wasn't just hiding a fling, she was hiding a scheme that could ruin her, maybe both of us. I glanced at the stairs. The shower was running now, a faint hum through the walls. Emily was stalling, probably plotting her next move. I wanted to storm up there, shove the phone in her face, and demand answers about DH Consulting, about the transfers, about who Derek really was. But I needed more. Lucas's file was a start, but it wasn't proof she was involved, not yet. I forwarded the file to my work email, just in case she tried to snoop, then pocketed my phone. My mind was a chessboard, and I was finally seeing the whole game, not just her moves. I sat on the couch, the weight of the night pressing down. Our life, Columbus, our creaky house, my history classes, her late nights at the firm felt like a stage set, props for a lie she'd been living. I remembered her smile at our wedding, the way she danced barefoot to some cheesy pop song. Was that Emily gone? Or had she never existed? My goal sharpened, not just the truth, but justice. If she was in this deep, I'd expose it, even if it broke me. A text from Lucas buzzed. Call me. Found a name tied to the account. My stomach twisted. A name. Another piece of the puzzle. Another step toward the truth, or a cliff I couldn't come back from. I started to dial, but the shower stopped, and Emily's footsteps creaked above. She was coming back down, and I had to decide, confront her now, or wait for Lucas's next move. The board was set, and the next play was mine. The creak of Emily's footsteps on the stairs snapped me back to the moment, my phone still hot in my hand from Lucas's text. Found a name tied to the account. I didn't have time to call him, not with her descending like a storm about to break. My heart pounded, a mix of dread and defiance. Lucas's file had cracked open a door, Derek's shady transfers, DH Consulting, the whispers of discreet services, but it wasn't enough to confront her. Not yet. I needed the name, the final piece to prove she wasn't just a bystander in this scheme. My goal had evolved, not just the truth, but holding her accountable, no matter what it cost. I slipped my phone into my pocket as Emily appeared, her hair damp from the shower, wrapped in a robe that used to feel like home. Now it was just another prop in her performance. "Nathan," she said, her voice softer, almost fragile, "can we stop fighting? I hate this." Her eyes searched mine, and for a fleeting second, I saw the woman I'd married, vulnerable, real. But then I remembered her refusal to show her phone, her panic over Derek's name. That woman was a ghost, and I was done chasing shadows. "Stop fighting," I said, standing, my voice calm but laced with steel. "You're the one dodging, Em. I asked for your phone. I asked for the client's name. You've given me nothing but stories." I stepped closer, the living room shrinking around us. "What's DH Consulting? What's Derek really doing?" Her face froze, her lips parting like I'd struck her. I tipped my hand, but I didn't care. The truth was close, and I could feel its weight. "Where did you hear that?" she whispered, her voice barely audible, her eyes darting like a cornered animal's. She clutched the robe tighter, a flimsy shield. "Nathan, you're digging into things you don't understand. Stop before you ruin everything." "Ruin everything?" I laughed, a jagged sound that hurt coming out. "You did that when you blocked me, when you lied about Derek, about your client. I know about the transfers, Em. Offshore accounts. Big money. You're in this, aren't you?" My words were a gamble, but her reaction, pale, trembling, told me I'd hit the mark. She wasn't just hiding an affair. She was neck-deep in something dangerous. "Nathan, listen to me," she said, stepping forward, her voice urgent now. "You're wrong. I'm protecting you. If you keep pushing, you'll get hurt. We both will." Her words felt like a plea, but there was an edge to them, a warning. Protecting me? Or protecting herself? I thought of Lucas's text, the name waiting to tip the scales. I needed to know, but she was here, unraveling, and I had to choose, push her now or dig deeper behind her back. My phone buzzed again, Lucas's impatience cutting through the tension. I glanced at it. "Name's Victor Grayson. Big player. Call now." My blood ran cold. Victor Grayson wasn't just a name. He was a local legend, a real estate tycoon with a rap sheet of rumors, corruption, payoffs, worse. If Emily and Derek were tied to him, this was no small scam. It was a house of cards, and I was about to pull the one that'd bring it all down. Emily watched me, her eyes pleading, but I was done playing her game. The truth was mine, and I was one move from claiming it. Emily's plea hung in the air. "You'll get hurt. We both will," but it was drowned out by the name burning in my mind. Victor Grayson. My phone felt like a grenade in my pocket. Lucas's text tying Emily and Derek to a man whose shadow loomed over Columbus like a storm cloud. Grayson wasn't just a tycoon. He was a predator, whispered about in dive bars and newsrooms, bribes, threats, deals that left bodies in their wake. If Emily was tangled with him, this wasn't just betrayal. It was a death trap, and I'd been blind to it until now. I stepped back, my eyes locked on hers, searching for the woman I'd loved, the one who'd laughed at my chess puns and dreamed of a bigger backyard. She was gone, replaced by this stranger clutching her robe, her face a mask of fear and defiance. My goal had always been the truth, but now it was survival, mine, and maybe hers. "Victor Grayson," I said, my voice low, deliberate, like dropping a stone into still water. "That's who you're protecting, isn't it?" Her eyes widened, a gasp slipping out before she could catch it. "Nathan, stop," she whispered, her voice cracking. "You don't know what you're saying." But I did. Lucas's file, the offshore accounts, Derek's cryptic emails, it all pointed to Grayson, a man who played with power like I played with pawns. Emily wasn't just cheating. She was in a game where losing meant more than a broken marriage. Tell me I'm wrong, I said, stepping closer, my voice steady despite the rage clawing my chest. Tell me you're not tied to him, that you and Derek aren't laundering his money or worse. Her silence was deafening, her hands trembling as she backed toward the wall. I saw it then, the crack in her armor, the moment she knew I had seen the board clearly. You thought I'd stay clueless, I said, almost to myself. The history teacher, too busy grading papers to notice his wife's a criminal. Nathan, please, she said, tears welling now, but I wasn't sure if they were real or another move. I didn't want this. Derek pulled me in, said it was just one deal. But Grayson, he doesn't let go. Her words spilled out, frantic, like she was unraveling with me. I blocked you to keep you out of it. I came back to make sure you wouldn't dig. I love you, Nathan. I was trying to protect us. Protect us? I laughed, the sound raw, jagged. You lied, Em. You built a life with me while you were selling it out to a monster. I pulled out my phone, Lucas's text still glowing. I'm done being your pawn. I dialed Lucas, my eyes never leaving hers. He picked up instantly. Nate, you okay? Grayson's bad news. Cops have been sniffing around him for years. You need to send it to me, I cut in. Everything you've got. Emily's face crumpled, and she sank to the floor, sobbing. But I wasn't done. I forwarded Lucas's file to a friend at the Columbus Dispatch, a reporter who'd owe me a favor. The truth was out now, a move I couldn't take back. Emily's betrayal had broken me, but exposing her tied me to something stronger, justice, not just for me, but for everyone Grayson had crushed. As I hung up, Emily looked up, her eyes hollow. You've killed us both, she whispered. But I felt alive, free, like I'd finally played my queen. So, what do you think? Did I do the right thing? Or did I just burn my world down? Comment below, and let's talk about it.